Happy New Year. I'm going to dive right into this live because this is going to be the year that things are different for you. And I'm speaking specifically to those of you who could feel, as you came towards the end of 2024, you were feeling like something wasn't sitting right anymore with just setting intentions, with having these big goals. So basically, if you started 2024 last year with good intentions, big goals, and then life took over, and so towards the end of last year you started to feel a bit frustrated, I'm talking to you guys because I want to make this distinction. You can change the trajectory whenever you desire. And it's an interesting time, these times of social media, because the two worlds of like those who are real go-getters and then the more spiritual healing folks kind of are like, well, your way is rubbish because you're all about hustle and that's not healthy. You're putting in too much effort. You need to be able to relax and sit back and surrender and trust in timing, right? People who tend to sit in the spiritual camp come at those who are real go-getters because they're like, you're not in alignment with the natural cycles. It's not the new year yet. I mean, look, I'm an astrologer. From the astrology point of view, there's nuance in this, right? From the astrology point of view, yeah, correct. We are not in the new year yet. That doesn't happen until Aries season in a couple of months' time when we go to March. So the spiritual camp, welcome as you're coming through, can be very much like, don't push past the natural cycles. We are still in the same year. Sit back and rest. It is not time to come out of your cocoon yet. We're in the depths of winter. And they come at those who are ready to just take control of their own narrative whenever the heck they want. And then on the other side, we've got the people who are real go-getters, action takers, giving shit to the spiritual folk, to those who are into astrology and natural cycles, being like, why are you just sitting around doing nothing? Like, if you've got this dream, why are you waiting for some external marker to give you the permission slip to go after what you say really matters to you? So the conversation that I'm bringing forwards to you today is that whichever side you are on, ultimately, it is you who gets to decide your timing. And when you let go of any kind of ideology that you're attached to and really anchor into that, that is when you know that the year's going to be different for you. Because all of a sudden you're no longer outsourcing your power to anything. Whether that is the moon, whether that is what season we're in terms of the zodiac, whether that is what some, huge masculine type A coach is telling you to go and make happen right this minute and do 1,000 things all at once and don't care about your health, just get it done. Like, no. Ultimately, it comes down to you. And one of the biggest lessons that just dropped in for me so deeply in 2024, towards the end of 2024, was that life is always going to be inconvenient. Like, if you're someone who really, and I guess this is a place where you can just get really honest with yourself, like, and there's no judgment of this is good or this is bad, you need to go after that or this, but if you can just get really honest with yourself and say, am I actually someone who is happy with, yeah, this is good enough, all right, I'm happy with all right? Or are you someone who actually really wants to experience that extraordinary life that is completely like lighting your soul on fire. It doesn't need to be exciting to anyone else, but it feels deeply rewarding and so rich and fulfilling for you as a unique soul. Because if you are someone who actually wants that, and it's not just the idea of it that you like, kind of fitting in, again, if we go back to the ideologies, not just fitting in with, yeah, I'm that spiritual person who wants fulfillment, who wants freedom, but no, you're someone who genuinely is like, let me be involved in the process of having that, not just daydreaming about it, then I really want to activate you at this point in time, not because it is the 3rd of January, not because, XYZ, but just because this is the time that you only ever have your power. This moment. And it doesn't matter whether you're here live, whether you're listening to this in an hour, whether you're listening to this at some point in the real distant future for me right now. Maybe you hear this in the summer, it just pops up somehow. It really doesn't matter. But ultimately, your power resides in this moment. And so let me just speak to what I see happening a lot in the more spiritual space. It is this disconnect where your power is put in a future moment. Because right now, what tends to happen is there's such a fixation on all the stuff that needs to be fixed first, your wounds and your blocks and the wounds and the blocks and the stuff from the past. That is what really gets centered in most kind of like popular narratives within the healing and spiritual space. And I've touched on this in my story yesterday. It really distracts from the power that you have in this moment to create. And in case you missed my story yesterday, I want to unpack what I'm saying here a little bit, because when it's this idea of being blocked, like if you think of that language, if you say, I have a money block, I have a block when it comes to romance, I have a block in my ability to receive, I have a block in my self-worth, I have a block when it comes to attracting men, whatever. Like really just sit with how you've just framed your own desire. Like the desire is more money, the desire is a deep loving relationship, the desire is a fulfilling partnership, whatever it may be. That's what you want, right? But a lot of the time, the way that you approach your goal is from the starting point of, I want X, but I am blocked in this moment. And so you immediately create a block. Now, I'm not saying that, so those of you who came to QLA, you'll have heard me go into this in detail. I'm not saying that conditioning doesn't exist, right? We are all born and then inherit different conditioning. But I do not ever refer to that as a block. Not to myself and not to any client that I work with, because there's a very different approach that you then take from that starting point. I'm blocked. I have conditioning. One creates a really problem-oriented mindset. The other, it allows you to just work with data. Welcome as you're coming through. So if you feel that you are deeply blocked in some way, or you hold wounding, like really hear that language and the ripple effect that has on you even feeling able to act upon your desires. Ironically, that creates a block because you stop acting. You just have this really beautiful idea and dream for yourself, but feel blocked. And so all of your energy, all of your power, which can only exist in the present moment, gets distracted from creating and coming into harmony with your goal, and it gets siphoned to focusing on a problem. Now, what I'm saying with conditioning and approaching it as data to work with is if you focus on, okay, I've just got some preconceived ideas here. This inspires so much more solution-based thinking and being. And it's not that you even have to, like, if you caught my story yesterday, I basically passed this tree on my walk, and this, let's say this is the tree. I was standing here, and when I was stood here, the sunlight couldn't pass through because the tree was in the way. But when I stepped this side of the tree, there was this gorgeous light that got captured in the video. And I was saying that reminds me of what I teach on blocks or conditioning. It's not that the block in this video, the tree, had to get cut down, or we had to do something with this tree and fix it because it's blocking the light. It's a perspective shift, right? So it's not so much that anything needs to be fixed. Like, that is already speaking about yourself as if there is a problem, that you're not good enough. There's some problem that you need to solve before you can have your desire. Actually, it's acknowledging that you are a human who has a capacity to think and behave from higher states of consciousness and lower states of consciousness. And when you tune into that, it's a real game changer. You move with your power rather than move away from your power because you think, oh, I'm blocked, there's a problem, I need to fix the problem. So life is always going to, be throwing curveballs. We're in an unpredictable experience. This experience of being alive is unpredictable. And for those of you who do lean into the I'm really spiritual and I like to focus on my healing and inner work camp versus the action-oriented folks who love strategy and just being told what to do and they'll go implement it. If you're over in this camp, where it can sometimes get a little bit sticky is, like I said, there's so much focus on the problems and things that need to be fixed before you can go after the goal. But B, there is this kind of narrative or undertone rather within the healing and spiritual space that if you just devote deeply enough to your healing, somehow, it's never explicitly said, but let me know if you kind of get where I'm going with this. There's this undertone that if you just get devoted enough to the inner work and the healing, then life will just be ease. Ease, ease, ease. And the reality is, it's going to go up and down. And also, there could potentially come a point where your life feels more easeful, but that's not because there isn't these peaks and troughs. It's because of the resilience you've cultivated through being an action taker. Things feel more easeful as a result of getting really good at taking action in imperfect circumstances. I'm going to say that one more time because that is really, really important. Life gets to feel more easeful, even when this is happening, when you get really good, you make a habit out of being someone who's really good at taking action, even in and amongst inconvenient circumstances, less than ideal circumstances, the not perfect circumstances, because there isn't perfect timing. The perfect timing is your decision. That is the perfect timing. There's not ever going to be this kind of amazing angel number flashy sign that says, hey, perfect time's hit. You create your perfect timing by picking up your agency. And the sad, frustrating thing is, the more you say, oh, next time, next year, next month, well, whenever that next moment comes around, you actually end up feeling less ready. Again, this elusive feeling. When I feel ready, I'm going to leap when I'm ready. Ready is also a choice. And the more you stall the action that your own soul is craving for you to take, you know, that annoying niggle that keeps trying to pull you forwards and you feel nervous, you don't go for it. The more that you feel it and don't move with it, the less ready you feel the next time that marker that you set in the future comes around, because you've got better at buying into your limiting beliefs and worse at trusting your expansive soul. Both things are always going to exist within you. Again, no matter how much healing you do, there's always going to be fear and there's always going to be courage. It's just some people get better at listening to courage, feeling the fear and moving with it, and then they have this huge bank of evidence that actually it pays off to listen to courage. And other people get really good at listening to fear. And so they get really good at staying in places they don't actually desire to be anymore, where their soul is saying, hey, we want more, we can handle more. So again, all of this comes back down to choice. And so for those of you who had really good intentions in 2024, big goals, and then life took over, I know that you are people, some of you came to QLA, whether you did or you didn't, I know that you are the kind of people that now, as we've come into 2025, you are looking for opportunities to hold yourself to a higher standard, right? You're looking for a space that's going to nurture that part of you that listens to courage, the part of you that is alive to evolve. You've got your courage, which is soul, which is evolution. You've got fear, which is, you know, survival instinct, primal instincts, to crave what's familiar and predictable at all costs, because at least it can quantify. It's like, maybe this stuff's shit, but at least I know how to quantify this shit because I'm used to this shit. Whereas the soul is like, no, we're here to grow, to expand, to learn through experiences. You can't grow without putting yourself in new spaces. So I know that a lot of you have been doing the work for a really long time, the inner work. You visualize, you journal, you set intentions, you go to moon ceremonies, and you know, you feel that spark of possibility. You feel that flicker of courage, but then you've also got good at stalling and procrastinating. And so the little spark kind of goes out. And it isn't serving anymore for some of you. Some of you, if you're at the beginning of the journey, you may be like, what the hell are you on about? But I know that there are a bunch of you in this community who have been so dedicated to the inner work that actually that's become the sticking point. And now it's really about nurturing the action taker within you. It's about becoming the executor, so that there isn't this constant like, yeah, next time. There isn't this wishy-washy, nice sounding but not very accountable stuff playing out in 2025 that's like, yeah, I hope that it's going to be different. My intention, you know, it's like, no, I am going to be sure that this year is different because of who I'm going to be, who I'm going to act as. And you're looking to pivot, right? You're looking to actually create that change now. And one final little reference to QLA, in case anyone who was in there watches the replay. So in QLA, I taught about how, well, I'm sure you know this already, life, external reality, is merely reflecting who you have been, because 3D world has a bit of a time lag to, you know, manifest. External reality is merely reflecting who you've been in the past and who you're currently being. So if you want a different external reality, the easiest way to create that is to stop putting your actions out into the future. Like, oh, I'll do it next month. I'll do it in a, when it's astrology, new year, blah, blah, blah. Your agency is here now. And so if you start being the bolder version of yourself now, who's going to choose to listen to courage, who's going to choose to follow through on your own intuition, on your own inner voice, on your own desires, then I guarantee you, because this isn't like fluffy, oh yeah, leave it to the universe stuff. This is no, you are being a new version of yourself now, and you're making a habit of that. So come astrological new year in March, you've had 3 whole months of showing up as a bolder, like action taker version. And so those new results are guaranteed. It's not like this, magical, mystical experience. How does manifestation work? It's like really practical stuff, actually. But it does require you to show up for it. So the real question is, why would you not pivot now? Again, I'm not saying this from a hustle culture place of like, you've got to do everything now. Oh my God, it's already the 3rd of January. You're late. We've got 3 days into this year. Where are your results? Why aren't you trying hard enough? No, I'm not saying it from that energy at all. I'm just saying it from like a really honest, grounded place of, well, why wouldn't you make your pivot happen now? If you've got, these big goals, if you've got a vague idea of your vision of where you want your life to go this year, how you want it to grow, how you want it to expand, why would you sit back and wait? And what are you waiting for if you are doing that, or if you were thinking of doing that? I don't recommend it at all, because as I said, you're just going to get better at sitting back. So for those of you who are really feeling what I'm saying, you've got big goals, you are someone who wants to live a really rewarding life for your soul, you want fulfillment, you want to experience like what you are truly capable of, the power pivot is for you. This is my first group program that starts on the 2nd of February. And it's going to run online for 12 weeks. And it is precisely what I've just been speaking to. It is bringing these 2 camps that usually get pitted against each other. You're doing it all wrong. You're being too action oriented and forceful and hustling. And hustle culture is so like 5-10 years ago. And then the hustle people who are like, why are you just leaving it to the universe? Why are you not doing anything? There's only so much focusing on blocks that you can do before you're just, holding yourself back from your own desires. We're going to bring them together. Union, yoga, uniting these 2 worlds that belong together. Because when you are doing the internal upgrades, you're looking at your conditioning and upgrading the stories that you hold within your consciousness, within your psyche, alongside actual strategy and intentional action plans. Boom. Now all of a sudden there is power, there is execution, there are outcomes. And do you know what? It feels really fucking good. That's the other thing. Like, the more you sit back, it's like that Netflix day is, if you have a lazy Netflix day. It's like at first, being all lazy and just sitting back and binging feels good. But then it actually gets to a point where something kicks in, like your soul kicks in and it's like, hey, we actually want to exert energy. We actually want to use this life force that's circling through our being right now. Enough sitting back. So the power pivot is for those of you who want to actually make 2025 different now. Make it different now. You could set yourself up for the most illogically extraordinary year by coming into the power pivot. Should have thought about this program name. By coming into the power pivot in February. Because by the time we finish, as we've just gone into April, your reality could look completely different. And it's not only about, oh my gosh, you can create results really swiftly, which you can do and is really incredible to witness that you are able to do, but it's also that reconnection, like anchoring back into your agency and no longer creating this distance between you and what you want. Like, actually, do you know what wonder it does for your self-worth, for your confidence, for your, you know, just like sense of being, to be someone who actually follows through on your word and doesn't just have these lovely ideas that never get brought to life? Because you know what? They want to come to life. They are coming through your consciousness, because that is the seed of creation. And Power Pivot is both deeply, deeply spiritual. You're going to go deep with me into spiritual and energetic practices and perspectives on life. But importantly, there's also going to be real strategy and action involved, because that's when things will actually change for you. And it's not just sitting back and focusing on problems and blocks that you need to fix first. It's no, you can move alongside your humanity. You don't need to become superhuman to do incredible things. But one thing you must get good at is not just relying on motivation, not just relying on when you feel inspired, not just relying on, well, the moon's in this sign, so yay, I'm going to do it this month. Oh no, but now we're in a retrograde period, so I ain't going to do nothing. Like, you know, you've seen me shifting. If you listen and follow relatively actively, you've seen me shifting away from, you know, I'm not doing moon ceremonies anymore. I'm not speaking on astrology in the same way, because again, there's a certain level of disconnecting from your power that can happen when you get a bit like carried away with all of that. Your agency is with you here now always, and it's in your choices. It's in your choices. But if you do, as I kind of just wrap up from where we started, if you do get honest with yourself and hear your own voice say, no, I want an extraordinary life. I'm not here to just do the bare minimum and, you know, be all right, but not that fulfilled. If you're someone who wants soul purpose, soul level fulfillment, then, you know, get real with yourself now and realize that that lovely idea that you'll get round to it, life's never fully convenient. And the masters, the experts, the greats, the top, you know, whatever, 1% of their field, athletes, artists, doesn't matter. Anyone who's like really succeeding and fulfilled in life isn't relying on inspiration to experience that. They are also willing to get stuck in, not in a toxic way, but just in a this fucking matters to me, so why would I not kind of way. And if you want to find out more about the Power Pivot, DM me. We begin on the 2nd of February. It's an online journey for 12 weeks. We are marrying, as I said, the spiritual and energetic with action and strategy. And until the 12th of January, you can join for the early bird price. So you save £450 by being an action taker. If this is speaking to you, if you want this year to be different, even within the first few months, you know, to really just transform the trajectory of how last year started and how you're showing up for the things that you say matter to you this year, then get in touch, drop me a DM me Pivot. You can book a connection call. You can have the link to explore all the information yourself, chat to me about what you want to make happen. And if it's not right for you, I'll let you know, but it probably is. If you're feeling drawn to it, trust that, follow it, get good at feeling something and moving with it, exploring it. And, you know, this year gets to be the year that you actually become the person who doesn't just dream, but you dream, you start doing, and then you get to have. And that's really what it's all about. Your power to create can only come alive when you act upon your own instincts and desires and let it draw you forward in the direction your soul wants you to go. So let's not leave it up to the universe this year. Like, that is so out for me personally. No more leaving it to the universe. Choose. Be in your agency, be in your power, and allow those goals to actually come to life. Any questions, get in touch, drop me a DM, comment, whatever you need to do, but get off the fence when it comes to your own desires, and life gets way more exciting and fulfilling when you act upon those instincts. I'll speak to you soon.